How you doing, folks? I'm going to talk about a little bit about what you're thinking about when you shoot. And I've been seeing a lot of posts, like a few posts on social media about, I'm in a shooting slump or I don't do good around crowds and people watching me shoot. And, I mean, it takes a little bit um, of a mental game aspect. Each thing bothers each archer differently. Uh, when you're up there, whether you get to your line, your stake, or your hunting stand, hunting the ground, when it's your time to shoot, there can be a lot that could affect that for different people. For me, like when I shot my last shoot, which was in archery abroad online. Uh, I got out of my shooting game. I started gap shooting, which I've been playing around with it. I was kind of familiar with it, wasn't going into it real blind, but I got real nervous. You know, once I started my pace, what I thought would be a good pace, it didn't really start out as good as I wanted to, but I was watching my shooting as I was doing it. It was going up and down, up and down. I'd make good shots, then I start making bad shots. What I consider bad, and each archer's got to consider what's good or a bad shot to them. So uh, you hear a lot, talking about the mental game of archery, and that's what basically this is kind of a little bitty scratch of the surface on it. Uh, you can only think about one thing at a time when you're there on the line. So what I like try to do is try to get locked in. I had to learn from the last shoot to get locked in on the shot process. And again, if you keep this in memory, you can only think about one thing at a time. So whether you get nervous in crowds or you think your score should be, you got a certain pace you want to keep so you can have a good score, uh, or it's just you're trying to figure out what's going on in a shooting slump or this, that, and the other. You can only think about one thing at a time, and working on your fundamentals, which is your shot process, your form, uh, is going to help you tremendously with that. So it puts your mind, concentrating on the shot process and what when you're up to shoot, is to focus on that. Make sure all your anchor points in. And again, I'm gonna stress you can only think about one thing at a time. So I would choose to think about my shot process in this next shoot instead of my score, and that's going to help. I think it's going to help me more, and to help me more concentrate on more quality of shots. And again, you got to understand why you're doing what you're doing. You can get videos, look at videos that give you solutions, but if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then eventually, somewhere along the line, you're going to come back to it. And that's, I always try from a bad shot, I look for positives. I don't care if it's off to the right, I'll pick a positive out of that bad shot to keep my mind positive. So I don't start beating myself up. Well, I shouldn't shot way off to the right or too high up or this, that, and the other. But I try to look for a positive out of those shots, and usually it helps me a lot of the time. Keep me from continually making bad shots. And if you would practice, just working on your shot process and concentrate on that, make sure everything's in place. When you release, your bow arm's steady. It's not flopping all over the place, and it's going to help you more to concentrate on that than it is what causes you to shoot bad. And eventually, all that stuff will just kind of go away, and you just concentrate on one thing. Uh, and that's the way we're made up. There's no way you can keep your mind on two, three different things at one time and make a good shot. There's no possible way. You might get lucky every once in a while. You can pull that horseshoe around, rub that rabbit's foot all you can, but eventually it's going to run out, and you're going to consistently make bad shots because you're thinking about the wrong things. And again, I'm going to stress, concentrate on your shot process. And when you concentrate on that, your mind's on your shot instead of everything else that, well, whatever's getting you. And some people, I find myself in that same position too, is when I walk down to the target to pull my arrows, then that could be another, you can take your bad shots to the next target or to the next arrow, and you're just going to get a snowball effect, and it's going to keep going and going and going until you slow down and concentrate on the shot process. So it's the best thing to concentrate on is the thing that's helping you shoot is your whole shot process. So if you do everything right, eventually, you know, get it down pat, you won't have to worry about nothing else, and eventually all that stuff's going to work out. Now, crowds, it took me a little bit. I went to my first 3D tournament when I've been shooting about 4 months, and I went by myself, so I ended up finding some guys to shoot with, and it took me a little bit to settle down, but it takes a little bit of time. It's not going to just automatically overnight. You know, you're just going to decide, I'm going to concentrate on my shot process, and if, you know, somebody's worried about people watching them or somebody coming up behind you waiting to get to that stake or line, you know, then it takes a good little bit of time. The more you do it, the less of a distraction it'll be. As far as crowds wise, it took me a little bit. What helped me was shooting a novelty shoot, a little floating ping pong ball. You know, I paid $6 to take 6 shots. I hit it 3 out of 6 times, you know, and it was actually fun. I went through the course again, you know, I already turned in my score or whatnot. And, you know, the more you do it, the more relaxed you're going to get. And, you know, it's like shooting in the backyard, I'm relaxed, but when you get into a situation to where it's different, where you have to make good shots, it's going to depend upon a lot of your practice. You know, if you're just shooting just to be shooting, throwing off 100 arrows a day, and not trying to say, well, I'm giving good 100 quality shots. I found out me taking fewer shots and slowing down and concentrating on the whole process, and keeps my mind engaged on that instead of bad shots. So I hope this helps, and I hope y'all have a great Christmas tomorrow and a happy New Year. So I hope this helps, and I hope y'all have a great day, great Christmas, and God bless.